You may not need to call an expensive plumber or waste time waiting for repairs anymore. A wet floor moisture and mold can start with one small leak, and that tiny leak can quickly turn into a costly repair. But today I'm going to show you a simple way to fix this damaged water supply line and test whether it can hold water pressure again. If this works, it could save you a lot of money around the house. Welcome back to Dan Fix. I'm Dan. Before touching the hose, shut off the water valve and release any pressure left inside the line. A supply hose can still spray water if you cut it under pressure. The damaged section is already cracked and weak, so the first step is to remove it cleanly. Use scissors and cut past the broken area. A clean cut gives us a better chance of making the new connection tight. Look at the structure of this water supply line. It has the connector, the inner water tube, and the outer protective cover. The stainless threaded ends connect to the water valve and the appliance or faucet. Inside the connector, there is a small rubber gasket. This little gasket does most of the sealing work, so do not lose it. I remove the gasket first and set it aside. Then I clamp the connector in the vise. The old rubber tube is still stuck inside, so I use gentle heat to soften it. Work in a ventilated area, because burned rubber or plastic fumes are not something you want to breathe. The metal connector also gets hot, so do not touch it with bare fingers. Once the old inner tube softens, pull it out and keep the union connector. This is the part we are trying to save. Have you ever fixed a leaking water line yourself, or did you replace the whole hose? Now clean the connector. I use pliers to open the mouth just a little, only enough to help the new tube seat inside. Do not spread it too far. If the connector becomes distorted, it may never seal correctly again. Next, scrape and wipe away the burned rubber left inside the joint. This matters more than it looks. Any old rubber stuck in the connector can stop the new tube from sitting all the way in, and even a tiny gap can become a leak under pressure. Now go back to the supply hose, cut the end square and clean. The straighter this cut is, the better it will contact the connector. If the end is ragged, trim it again. I slide a short piece of heat shrink tubing over the hose end. This does not replace the gasket, and it is not the main water seal. It simply helps hold and protect the hose end while we press it into the connector. Tell me what country you're watching from. I'd love to learn how people in your part of the world fix small plumbing problems at home. Add a small amount of dish soap as lubricant. Dish soap helps the rubber slide into place without tearing. It is not glue, it only makes the assembly easier, and it can be rinsed away later. Now press the hose into the connector slowly and firmly. Keep it straight. If it goes in crooked, pull it back and correct it before pushing harder. The goal is to seat the inner tube as deeply and evenly as possible. Once the hose is seated, use a utility knife to trim away the extra heat shrink tubing. Keep the blade pointed away from your hand. This area does not need to look pretty, but it does need to be smooth enough that it will not interfere with the connector. Now reconnect the hose to the union connector. I use gentle heat again to soften the inner rubber just enough for it to grip the fitting. Do not burn the hose. Move the heat around and stop as soon as the rubber becomes flexible. If you overheat one spot, the hose can weaken instead of getting stronger. When the joint cools, check it by pulling lightly. It should feel firm and straight without twisting. From the outside, the repair looks clean, almost like the original connection, but that does not prove it is safe yet. Only a water test can prove that. Before installing the hose again, do not forget the most important small part, the rubber gasket. Have you ever forgotten the rubber gasket and wondered why the connector still leaked? Without this gasket, water can escape even if the threaded nut feels tight. Place the gasket back inside the connector. Make sure it lies flat, not folded or pinched. Then install the supply line back in its original position. Start the threads by hand, first so they do not cross-thread. After that, snug the connector with pliers or a wrench, but do not crush it. Too much force can damage the gasket or the threads. Now open the water valve slowly. Do not turn it on full blast right away. Watch the connector, the repaired joint, and the floor underneath. If a drop appears, shut the water off before leaving it installed. Look closely. The joint is holding and the floor is staying dry. For this test, the repaired supply line is holding water pressure again. This repair is useful for understanding how the connector works, but it will not save every hose. If you found this useful, hit like, subscribe to Dan Fix, and tell me what home repair we should test next.